Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And we are back here with our performance coach, Dora Kurimay, for those live on the podcast. We're also live on Zoom if you're tuning in there. Just want to welcome you all back to the show. And again, Dora's here joining us. It's exciting to have her back here. Dora, let's do a little recap from last week. Always have to ask, though, before that, tell us about yourself, your work, and how you can help our listeners.
Yes, so I'm Dora Kurimay, and Dora Kurimay Incorporation is a New York-based company that offers coaching services. I work with athletes, professional teams, and anyone who seeks fulfillment and well-being in their mind, body, and spirit. And my effective programs are designed to reduce stress, successfully manage internal and life balance, and maximize performance.
Beautiful. And you have many accolades. You are a performance coach. You're also a writer, an athlete yourself, and so much more. I know you don't want to talk about yourself, but you have to give us a little more. And let's recap what we talked about last week.
Right.
Thank you.
So I'm a mental performance coach. I'm the founder of Dora Kurimay Incorporation. My background is in psychology. I have 2 master's degrees actually in psychology and sports psychology as well. I'm also the chair of the USA Table Tennis Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. I'm a certified mental performance consultant by the Association of Applied Sports Psychology. And I'm also a European table tennis champion in teams. Yes, my background is in table tennis. I have a couple of other titles. I played for the Hungarian national team for 6 years.
Wow.
And I was ranked top 10 in the US under age 18, and I was also ranked top 10 in the US as well. So I was at Europe and US as well. Yeah.
Well, to me, that sounds stressful. There's so much to remember, but not to you. You're a champ. And last week's topic we talked about stress, right?
Yes, we talked about stress last week, specifically how to handle stress like the pros and the importance of well-being. And that's what we talked about. Stress management skills are very important, and it's beneficial for everyone, for sure.
Right. Well, could you tell me a little about the stories of mental toughness, in a sense, on and off the table, your book, and what the book is about, and talk about why you wrote the book, and give us some insight there about your own personal stories as well. Would be great to hear.
Yeah, so I'm also an author, and I published a couple of books. The first one was Get Your Game Face On. The second one is Get Your Game Face On Like the Pros. And the third one is My Stories of Mental Toughness on and Off the Table, which is the latest book. And that's what it would be great to talk about it. And basically, in this book, I'm sharing 11 of my life stories. What I thought it would be great to share. Because I had hard-won life lessons, and everyone can learn more through stories. And that's why I tried 11 of my life stories. But I created my stories of mental toughness on and off the table chapters and episodes during 2020 COVID-19 in New York, because it gave me time to reflect on my learning experiences. And sport and life are like a camera, focusing on what's important, capture the good times, develop from the negative ones, and if things don't work out, just take another shot. And creating these chapters and video episodes made me recall some of my most critical learning experiences during my life and reminded me of my inner strengths. And I tied the stories back to the theories that I learned about as a young competitive player, theories that I have used in my whole life and that I taught to successful athletes and professionals. Mm-hmm. And mental toughness is a psychological edge that helps you to cope better during competition, training, and life, to be more consistent, focused, confident, and ultimately better than your opponents under pressure. And mental toughness also allows you to bounce back quickly after challenges and setbacks. And I'm a believer that skills can be improved, such as also mental toughness as well. And I'm passionate about sharing my wisdoms through stories. So everyone likes stories, and it provides a way to relate to others' experiences and learn through them. And also, in each chapter and episode, I conclude with mental toughness tips that can be useful for everyone, basically.
So who in particular made you write this book? I know you had a friend.
Yeah, so the whole idea came that just talking with a friend. I like theories and also techniques, and we talked about just teaching, and we talked about that learning through stories is way more effective than teaching techniques and theories, since everyone can relate to stories more. So he was specifically basically asking about stories. And that conversation, I started to think about stories that would be great to share with others, since I've been through so many challenging life situations on and off the table. And it was a great challenge to share 11 of my life learning lessons in the book. And I've also created a video series to go along with the chapters in the book. But in general, for me, it's easier to talk about theories and techniques. And I know stories are so important. So that's what made me to write this book.
And so who do you recommend reading this book?
I recommend reading it basically to anyone who likes and relate to sports. So from recreational players to competitive and even elite players or athletes as well. I also think coaches, parents, teachers, and other professionals could also gain insights from reading the book. And I believe that the principles of sports psychology, which is what the book is ultimately about, can apply to all aspects of your life. And whether with public speaking, being a great parent, or developing your skills as an athlete, this collection of 11 of 11 of stories from my life offers insights on gaining psychological edge and attaining mental toughness.
Wow, amazing. And would you like to maybe recommend to some people out there to read the book? I'm assuming athletes, but even players, I mean, even just teachers, professionals in general, but anyone can read the book, right? But do you have anyone in mind particularly that are really enjoying it?
Yes, these are short stories, and it's also, I cover many different topics. And how the title also explained, it's on and off the table. So it's not just table tennis, it's outside of table tennis as well. And how I said, reading stories and hearing stories, people can relate to more and learn from them more, basically.
Got it. And also, can I ask you a little bit more specifically what's emphasized in the book?
Yeah, so I emphasize the importance of having fun, of finding a place to develop your talents and facilitate an optimal motivational climate by understanding your own or your children's or your athletes' motivations and needs. And in this book, I describe how to adjust and how to move on to new challenges. Adjustment is crucial, especially now when almost everything is unpredictable regarding near future. And we have to adopt and learn new skills such as stress management, coping skills, self-care routine, and deal with uncertainties, for sure.
Absolutely. And now let me just ask, let's see, you're in New York?
Yes, I'm in New York.
And you're doing your coaching virtually though, so you don't have to be in the New York area, right? Everything we're talking about today can be done virtually and online as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Just making sure. How many chapters are in the book specifically, if you don't mind, and some of the hot topics you want to share maybe that you've covered in the book?
Yeah, so I shared 11 of my life stories and tied back every story to different aspects of sports psychology. And the stories covers topics like motivation, goal setting, teamwork, visualization, adjusting, pre-performance routine, breathing, public speaking, recovery, and coaching and mentorship. So these are the main topics.
Got
But
it.
yeah.
And in particular, I know there's the motivational chapter, goal setting. Do you want to talk a little bit about each chapter specifically, or?
Um, yeah, I mean, I can be that can be also another time when I talk
Sure.
about them. But I can
What about,
talk.
want to highlight one of the chapters? Maybe number
uh,
7?
yes. So okay, I will highlight number 7 chapter, because I think that can be a good start, since also you can use what I'm going to talk about in everyday life and anywhere. But regarding the topics, I mean, if I would go through all the topics, that could take a little bit more time. So maybe another time we could talk about it more. But yes. So maybe highlight chapter 7. So in this chapter, it's about breathing and remaining calm, and what mental toughness techniques did I use while night wreck diving. I will share this story. It's
Wow.
a tough one. So breathing, remaining calm, and focusing on the activity by itself are some of the most essential mental toughness techniques, and it's also mindfulness techniques. Breathing is especially important diving under the water, because if you're not breathing properly and consistently, it can be very dangerous.
Yeah.
The less oxygen you are using from your tank, the better it is. And the more anxious and the more nervous you are, the more oxygen you are using from your tank. So running out your out oxygen from your tank can be very dangerous. So I will share my first night wreck diving experience, and also what breathing techniques I used, along with other mental toughness techniques, to remain calm in the deep ocean. So I was excited to do my scuba diving PADI certification in the Philippines at Sangat Island in
Oh, wow.
2010. Yes, and it was a very intensive training. I was new to the sport, but I just enjoyed being under the water, and it was easy and it felt relaxing to dive, and it cleared my mind. I loved the colors of the water, the seabird. I also noticed the more relaxed I am, the easier the dive is. And after a couple of days of intensive training, the more advanced divers, 3 of them, were leaving for a night wreck diving event, and I decided to join them after they invited me to participate. I was kind of nervous and excited at the same time, and we were going down in the boat. The divers started joking about how the sharks will come and how they would eat us. I was
Yeah.
trying to smile about it, but I was also thinking that maybe it's not the best mental preparation for my
Yeah.
first night diving experience. So that was, yes, it was a little scary that time. So we arrived at the jump out point and got out from the boat into the water. And when I started going down, it was dark and different from the day diving. I was just
Mm-hmm.
focusing on my breathing. And I even remember the water starting going through my max, so I had to stop and adjust it. I began
Wow.
to get nervous. It was not a good start, and everything was dark, and I could only see the light that the main diver was holding in his hand. I didn't feel as comfortable as I had during day dives. I just focused on keeping my breath consistent. I had all of this at the back of my mind as we went towards the bottom. It was
Ah,
really busy, a
wow.
descent filled with seeing creatures and impending blackness below. And after a couple of minutes, we were at the bottom. Without realizing it, I gotten caught in a current. I had never experienced being stuck in a current. I got swept
Wow.
away. I simply lost control. I was totally freaking out, and I kept floating away from my group until someone finally swam after me and pulled me back to the others. It was at this point I started to worry about losing my life. I was really relieved to have been rescued from the current, but still kind of shocked about what had occurred.
Yeah.
I hadn't planned for this, right? So the setting also increased my fears. It was really dark. So the dark that you could not read people's faces because you could barely see beyond. but I tried to signal I was okay, even I wasn't. And my eyes got really big, and I knew I started panicking.
Mm.
It would be, if I would start panicking, it would be extremely dangerous. So nevertheless, I felt like I could almost not stop my tears from coming. So
Aw.
it was exact that moment when I realized I needed to do something to calm myself down. And I remembered my breathing exercise that I used to do before my matches.
Yeah.
So I made myself focus on my breathing and recalled a good memory that helped me to get back to my normal breathing level, and also slowing, adjusting my emotions. So I told myself everything okay and just focus on my swimming and breathing. I had to shake off my fear in only a couple of minutes to able to keep up with three other divers. I told myself focus on my swimming, one stroke and another. It helped me to concentrate on a specific task, and evening out my breathing, which helped me to calm
Wow.
my mind and keep my emotions in check. And
What a
under the
story.
water, yes, that was a kind of a story. So I also, because you can't talk, I signaled everything is okay to the other divers, and from there we went into the wrecks. And I was hoping that we are not going to meet any sharks. That there were so many
Mm.
fish and sea animals to see, so many creatures, and everything went back to normal. So I started to really enjoying the dive afterwards. And and when we finished the diving, um, we waited at the last point when we had to stop for decompression along the way before we can go to the surface. And while we were waiting, there was another fish which came again, and the fish was nice, colorful, but really large, and it helped me, and it started poking me with its nose. So I got scared and accidentally went higher, I suppose, to
Ah.
for the decompression routine. So after this incident, we had to restart our decompression stop since I moved up in the water. But I just kept focusing on my breathing and repeated myself, everything is okay. So after this experience, we arrived at the surface, and ultimately we just relieved that it was kind of a big adventure, right? So I was very
Wow.
proud the way I handled the unexpected situation, and I could handle my fears. And definitely, I never imagined that I have to use my breathing
Ah.
exercise, my self-talk, and just focusing the activity by itself. So I share this story because you can use mental toughness techniques in any high pressure situation. It doesn't matter where you are. So that breathing is one of the most easiest, but also the most useful technique in life in general.
How long were you under the water for? Do you remember? Probably
It
felt like
was
forever, but
it was like 45 minutes, half an hour.
oh my
Yeah,
gosh, that is
half an hour.
amazing. I can't even understand that. That's wow. God bless you. That what an amazing story to share. My goodness. All right. So when can we use this breathing technique? And you say anyone can benefit from deep breathing techniques, right? Even what about with COVID-19 and the recovery process?
Yes, so everyone can benefit from breathing technique, and it can play an especially important role in COVID-19 recovery process. So these exercises, what I will share, the breathing technique can be started
Sure.
at home during self isolation, and it can be easily incorporated into a
Mm-hmm.
daily routine. So I have to say that you want to differentiate chest breathing and abdominal breathing, which is kind of deep breathing. So
Mm-hmm.
chest breathing is shallow breathing. So whenever someone is anxious, they might not even aware that they are breathing
Yeah.
this way, and that's not helping with your energy when you're having a chest breathing. But deep breathing means that basically you breathe into your stomach, into your belly, and it has many positive effects, because the oxygen is increasing, your blood oxygen level increasing if you are breathing into your belly. So it's good for everything. Yes, I don't know if you have ever done deep breathing, or you're focusing on your breathing.
No, you got me thinking about it now. I'm talking about deep diving. My gosh. Wow, 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 wow. So, okay, whenever you're in a high pressure situation, clearly these things could benefit. You got to focus on the breathing and do it consistently. Could you just help me 1 second? Show me a deep breathing. Like, how do you start it? Just so I could, as an example.
Okay, yes, no, that's very good. So get in a comfortable position and basically breathe in through your nose and let your belly feel with air. Okay, and breathe out through your nose. And it can be a good thing to place one of your hand on your chest, the other one on your belly, and breathe in, feel your belly rise, and as you breathe out, feel your belly lower. And the hand on your belly should move more than the other hands on your chest. Okay, so let's do it like 3 times.
Yeah.
So breathe in, and your belly should rise, and breathe out. And again, breathe in through your nose, and after, breathe out through your nose. And the goal, and just keep doing that, the goal is that your belly rises.
Okay, yeah.
So not your chest. So that means
correct.
that you're breathing deeply, I mean, in your belly. Oh. And also it's very good that, so when you breathe in, also it's important, you can count as well. So it can be also a good ratio to start 4-4-7. So breathe in through your nose, hold it for 4 seconds, and after exhale for 7 seconds. That's longer, but the exhalation is releasing the tension. That's very important. And also one more thing can be also very useful, also just imagining that when you're breathing in, the energy is coming, you are getting energy, and when you're breathing out, you're releasing the stress. So the stress is going away. That's why also
getting sleepy. I'm feeling calm and relaxed. I never really sat here and tried that whole 4-4-7 rule. Interesting. Wow.
And this can be used anytime. And breathing is very important, because the stress cycle is reflected in breath as well. So we want to focus on, even just focusing on our breathing when we are stressing out can be really relaxing and calming. So even there is mindfulness breathing, which is a little different. So when you're doing mindfulness breathing, you're just gently focusing your attention on your breath. So it's a little bit different. So you can just begin noticing the breath coming in and out, and just focusing on your breathing just helps you to be mindful and also relaxing your body, because I'm pretty sure you experience that when you start focusing on your breathing, you might experience that, or you realize your shoulders are tight, or shoulders not as relaxed. So you can also, when you're doing your breathing, you can just relax, focusing on shoulders, and focusing also keeping your breathing consistent as well, and focusing on your deep breathing as well.
I like it. Thank you for sharing this. What else did you want to share? We're almost out of time. My gosh. About paying attention to breath. So yes.
Yes. But breathing is super important. And many people don't realize that they already have some tools that they can use. And that you can apply in everyday life, and one of them is breathing. So that's why I also wanted to share this experience. I know this this story was a little extreme. And that was actually the most extreme situation in the book. But for me, diving is very relaxing. So that was in general. I mean, everyone is different, but you can just also focus on your breathing and you relax. So, but of course, you can do the same one in the surface as well, because you're on the surface. And so how I said, like, I recommend anyone, whenever you're feeling stressed out, you can just start focusing on your breathing and noticing how you are breathing.
Okay.
That can be a first step.
All right.
And doing deep breathing exercises in the morning and daytime and nighttime, just doing a couple of circles of deep breathing can be very, very helpful.
Okay.
And lastly, so maybe I can also share that. And if anyone would like to work with me on how to handle stress better or work at home, I can help with that, and I can teach mindfulness exercises such as deep breathing and identifying stressors, resources, also journaling and helping clients. So I also have clients to reframe the situations in a different way. We talked about that last time, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And how you pointed out, yes, I work online. So I'm in New York, but I work through Zoom and online. So anyone can reach me out.
And tell us the website one more time.
Yeah, so my website is www.dorakurimay.com. My email address is dora@dorakurimay.com. And my phone number is 347-849-1563. And also my book's also available on my website as well as on Amazon.
Great. Well, thank you for being here, for joining us, enlightening us again. Looking forward to next week. I think we have a break because of Memorial Day, but we'll be back the following week, right?
Yes, exactly.
All right, good.
So
enjoy your week and have a good holiday weekend. Thank you so much.
You too.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.